Welcome to this explainer. Today, we're diving right into a seriously chilling case study of folklore and horror mechanics. We'll be examining the strange and, honestly, terrifying events surrounding a young boy named Arham. Now, instead of just telling you a spooky campfire story, we're going to look closely at the source material. We want to analyze exactly how tension, physical space, and local legends all combine to create a truly effective, get-under-your-skin kind of haunting.
So, let's set the scene, shall we? Arham's family home is described as old, incredibly quiet, and just consistently cold. But what really sets the stage for this whole thing is the house's one unspoken, absolutely unbreakable rule. There's a locked room at the very end of the hallway. No one is ever allowed to enter it. Actually, scratch that. No one's even allowed to talk about it. And just to add to the creep factor, from the outside its window always appears noticeably darker than literally any other window in the house.
Section 1. The Forbidden Locked Room, a Dark Mystery. Okay, so every good haunting needs an inciting incident, right? Here, it begins with a super simple auditory trigger. Arham wakes up in the dead of night to a really soft sound. Tap, tap, tap. It's a slow, super methodical scare mechanic. At this early stage, it sounds like someone is knocking from the inside of his bedroom wall. And Arham does exactly what you or I would do. He yanks the blanket right over his head and tries his hardest to just ignore it.
But this is where the source text brilliantly illustrates the escalation of the threat. It doesn't just keep the scare static. It uses spatial progression to really ramp up the tension. Think about it. On night 1, the sound is muffled, distant, right inside the walls. But by night 2, that exact same tapping has moved. It's louder, it's closer, and it's happening right in the hallway, directly outside Arham's bedroom door. The threat is actively hunting him.
Naturally, this escalation pushes Arham to investigate. The next morning, he gathers up his courage and asks his mom, who used to live in that locked room. But instead of comforting him, her reaction just spikes his anxiety. Her face completely drops, her tone gets super nervous, and she delivers this really stern warning. No one lives there anymore. Don't ask about it and stay away from that room. And as we see time and time again in these cases, giving a strict command to stay away, that only serves to heighten human curiosity.
Section 2. The First Breach, a Terrible Storm.
So the tension rapidly builds when the outside weather starts mirroring the internal horror of the house. A massive storm hits the town, wiping out the power and plunging everything into total darkness. It's the perfect, isolated setup. Under the cover of the blackout, the auditory mechanics evolve again. Along with those returning knocks, a shaky whisper now echoes from the dark hallway. Is anyone there? This voice specifically lures Arham toward that forbidden room. When he finally creeps up to it, heart pounding, he finds that the door, the one that's been locked his entire life, is cracked slightly open for the very first time. Now notice the horrific contrast the text builds here between the physical space and the supernatural space. When Arham steps inside, the actual room is completely empty and freezing cold, like so cold his breath turns white. The only thing in there is a tall mirror covered with a dusty cloth. But the second he uncovers it, slam, the door shuts behind him. He whips around, nothing's there, but looking back into the mirror reveals the true threat. The reflection of a girl with pale skin, soaking wet hair, and dark, empty eyes standing right behind him.
The choreography of the scene is just flawlessly terrifying. In the mirror, the girl slowly raises her hand and points toward the room's window. Following her gesture, Arham turns his head, and right on cue, a massive flash of lightning illuminates the darkness outside, revealing, just for a split second, that exact same expressionless, unblinking entity standing out in the pouring rain, staring directly in at him. Arham absolutely loses it, screams, and forces his way out of the room, which brings his panicked parents running. But here, we experience a vital false safety moment. It's a really crucial pacing tool in horror. When his parents burst in, everything slows way down. The mirror is covered again, the window is securely closed, there is absolutely no sign of the girl anywhere. To his parents, everything appears perfectly normal, which, of course, completely isolates Arham in his own terrifying experience.
Section 3. The Mother's Dark Secret. The Missing Girl.
The sheer terror of that night finally forces a confession. The next morning brings a major lore drop to our case file. Arham's mother finally provides the historical context for the haunting. She explains that many years ago, a girl actually lived in that very room. She vanished without a trace during a storm, and ever since, locals claimed to see her standing in that window. To cope, the family just locked the room away, trying to bury the past. But as the source text makes perfectly clear, ignoring a ghost definitely doesn't make it go away.
Section 4. The Final Knock. 2 weeks later.
While Arham tries his best to avoid the hallway entirely, the mechanics of this folklore dictate that the entity just will not be ignored. This brings us to the climax, 2 weeks later, when Arham is left completely alone in the quiet house. That core sensory motif returns to shatter the silence. But this time, it's a massive breach of boundaries. The knocking isn't coming from the walls. It's not coming from the hallway. It's coming directly from Arham's very own bedroom window.
Look at how this is structured. It's a masterclass in suspense. The ghost has systematically closed the distance over time. It started in the walls, moved to the shared space of the hallway, and now it's completely bypassed the house's internal defenses to trap Arham in his supposedly safe space.
With his hands literally shaking, Arham pulls back the curtain. The pale girl is right there. Her face is pressed almost completely against the glass. Slowly, she lifts her finger and writes a foggy, chilling command right on the outside of the pane. Let me in.
And now, the pacing frantically escalates. All that subtle tension, totally gone. The lights in Arham's room start flickering. The temperature suddenly plummets just like it did in the locked room. And that slow, methodical knocking turns into this rapid, aggressive pounding. Tap, 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 tap.
Section 5. 2 shadows in the window. The next day.
We reach the terrifying third act of our case file. The storm is past, the sun is up, and Arham's parents go to check on him, only to find his room completely empty. Arham has vanished just as mysteriously as the girl did all those years ago. The only clue left behind is his window, sitting slightly opened, and on the inside of the glass, the inside, written in the condensation, is a single, horrific message finalizing the ghost's successful breach: "Thank you." We wrap up our analysis by looking at the updated folklore of the village, which shows exactly how the haunting assimilated its newest victim. See, in the past, villagers reported seeing one solitary girl standing in the window of the old house. But the legend has evolved. Now, when people look up at that dark glass, they see a second, smaller shadow standing right behind her. The text leaves us with absolutely no doubt about Arham's fate. He's become part of the legend. It is such a provocative reminder of how human curiosity, opening doors we shouldn't, asking questions we shouldn't, so often leads to our own undoing in these stories. It really makes you wonder, doesn't it? If the tapping came for you from inside your walls tonight, would you be brave enough to simply look away? Thanks so much for joining me for this explainer, and hey, keep your windows locked.